Alrighty, and we are back. We have our third of four exhibition games. This one is going to be Oliver Ramsey against Jack Roth. So, should be a good game. We've got some exciting teams come up. We'll go over the players first and their achievements, and then we'll go over their teams.
Yeah, so first off, we'll start with Oliver Ramsey. So Oliver is currently in his first year of Masters. He finished off his seniors run with a top 16 in Hawaii last year. Came into Masters, played at Perth Regionals, and crushed the tournament. He won his first regionals that he played in Masters. And he had from memory, he had a really dominant tournament. He's done a lot of work with people internationally. I know he works with a lot of players from LATAM and from Europe, but he's been playing really consistently well, and it's been really cool to see him kind of flourish in his first year of Masters.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful showcasing, seeing that this is one of our players as a first-year master going to look to be around for a good period of time. Good to see that we've got some strong representation from a trainer as young as Oliver in the Masters division. So,
yeah. And rocking a very cool team as well.
Yeah, very, very cool looking team. We've got the Terapagos, very similar to what we saw Dimitri use earlier, but its restricted of choice is paired with the loaded dice Koraidon.
Yeah, Koraidon, one of the kind of the other big fighting type of the regulation I. People have been pairing a lot of things with Zamazenta. This is the other big pairing that we haven't really gotten to showcase today in that Koraidon. Koraidon obviously bringing with it that sun like Groudon, but no ground type here. We're going fighting and fire. That Terra Fire with that Flare Blitz, letting it hit so hard, so fast. But this one, not what we've normally been seeing. We've been seeing Clear Amulet on Koraidon. We've been seeing Life Orb on Koraidon. We've even been seeing the Ability Shield with those Wheezing teams throughout the end of Reg G. But this one is loaded dice with Scale Shot.
Yeah, so it's a cheeky multi-hit move, hitting 4 to 5 times guaranteed with that loaded dice, giving it an option to boost its speed as well at the sacrifice of dropping its defense. Koraidon, not known to be the most bulkiest of restricteds, but definitely one to be very fast and very offensive. So that is looking like the vision that Oliver has with this Koraidon set here. With that Terra Fire, just turning that Flare Blitz into an absolutely devastating nuke.
Yeah, not a pairing we often see Terapagos with Koraidon, as the Terapagos does turn off the sun if it terastallizes. But along with the Koraidon, we get our usual suspects that we see with Sun. That's Focus, Sash, Flutter Mane. So good with the booster speed. It can be booster special attack, but generally we see booster speed with that Icy Wind support to really help those Koraidon hit first, hit hard against things like the Calyrex Shadow Rider, which outpace it just by that little bit. And then Raging Bolt. Again, another Terra Electric one. This one opting for Snarl instead of the Thunderbolt. Yeah, and then something we haven't seen today is that Cornerstone Ogerpon.
Yeah, Cornerstone Ogerpon with that sturdy, always basically an inbuilt Focus Sash in a sense. Just going to be able to help and give that support. Has got that Rock-type IV Cudgel, as we saw earlier from that Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh takes a lot of the moves from a lot of this team relatively well. It doesn't want to take a Rock-type IV Cudgel. That much is for certain. We do also see with the Raging Bolt, it's got Draco Meteor and Volt Switch. So it's just got a big dragon move that'll lower its special attack, but also the option to pivot as well, giving it a pivoting tool alongside Oliver's Incineroar with that parting shot as well, with that fake out support. The Stellar Terror from the Flutter Mane as well, allowing each of its moves just to be very nasty one-off. So just that Stellar boosted Moonblast, the Stellar boosted Shadow Ball. Yeah, that'll do some big damage, especially
hitting just that bit harder, which is going to be really important, especially for something that's as quick and frail as the Flutter Mane is. But for now, let's move on to our second player, Jack Roth.
Yeah, so Jack Roth here. He recently got the top 8 in Brisbane Regionals in 2025, top 64 in Melbourne in 2024, Global Challenge 1 and Global Challenge 3, top 64.
So after you, sorry.
Yeah, just submitting a strong profile it in-person tournaments and in the on the online scene as well.
Yeah, Jack being another one of the locals that I've get to play with. He's been running this Zamazenta Chin Power core for so long now. He's really, really good with it. He's perfected it. He knows how to play it. And he's run a number of different teams with it. That top 8 at Brisbane Regionals, he was able to take me down in top 16 in a really close set. He played it so well. I'd say that matchup was probably in my favor, and he was able to overcome that. So, like, he's been really playing really well. He does so well at our locals. I think we were talking about one of his most notable VGC memories. When we finally got locals and MSSs back to Sydney, he was the first player to win our first MSS back. And, like, he's been great in the community. Like, it's always so much fun to go up against him. Super nice guy. And he's running a really cool Zamazenta team. So, similar to what we saw with Yoav in that Zamazenta Calyrex Shadow, Incineroar, Raging Bolt, but rounding it out with a different two that we haven't gotten to see today.
Yeah, one of them being Shen Pao. I am another big fan of Shen Pao. I used to heavily dislike Shen Pao just because I always played against it. But using it, it's such a strong Pokemon. The other one, which is much more interesting to the eyes of the viewer, is Teal Mask Ogerpon. No Mask of the Ogerpon. It's got the loaded dice, so it's got that with the Bullet Seed as its attack of choice as well, alongside Follow Me, Spiky Shield, and Encore as well.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of Encore today. We've seen it on Screamtail, we've seen it on Calyrex Shadow, now we're seeing it on Ogerpon. This is also our third variant of Ogerpon that we've gotten to see today. That Defiant running the same role of the Annihilate we saw back in our first set, helping out with those Intimidates and really boosting that damage. When Ogerpon terrors, that speed boost that it gets from its Embody aspect, allowing it to outpace and KO things like the Scarf Urshifu, which can give this sort of team a lot of problems if they get caught in the wrong spot. But the Loaded Dice Bullet Seed also, again, able to get around things like Sash Urshifu, and we've seen Loaded Dice on both teams now.
Yeah. What I'm pointing out here that I'm liking the look of, we haven't seen it a lot at all in Scarlet and Violet in general, is the phasing move on Incineroar. It has Raw on its moveset. So
yeah, Raw being so good against those Trick Room teams. We used to see it back pre-COVID, I think it's been that long. Pre-Dynamax, we saw it back in 2019 and prior to that as a good way of stopping things like Trick Room, as a way of stopping setup Pokemon, specifically things like Xerneas. That was, I think, when it was most heavily used. But yeah, we really don't see it now. We saw it recently once on the finals team for the European International Championships. We saw it on, I believe it was on the Farigiraf there, which was a really cool move to see, and I believe it came out in finals as well. But it's just so uncommonly seen nowadays. But it's really cool to see it again here.
Yeah, so it'd be good to see that, and we see as well the Raging Bolt, 3 electric move, but no pivoting move with the Draco Meteor as well. It does have the Electro Web as a form of speed control on Jack's end as well. I believe it's its only form of speed control on the team. There's no Tailwind or Icy Wind or Trick Room or anything else of the sort like that. So that's there on that Raging Bolt.
Yeah. No real other speed control on that team. So really going to be heavily utilizing that Electro Web. But we're about to get the players to jump into a team preview so we can get this match started over here. It's going to be a really, really interesting matchup between these two teams. They both run so differently, but both have so many options into the other. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to see what each trainer's game plan is going into game one, having a look at what they believe is the best way to either get a quick victory or look to gain information on how their opponent wants to play out and see what they're after as well. So
Yeah, and it's interesting to note some of the different Terra types to what we've seen today as well. We've seen many different Terra types. We've seen Bug on Incin, we've seen Terra Ghost on Calyrex Shadow, we've seen Terra Normal on Calyrex Shadow. In this matchup, on Jack's side, we've got Terra Water on Calyrex, we've got Terra Fairy on Incineroar. On Oliver's side, we've got Terra Grass on his Incineroar. There's so many different things, there's so many different aspects that people are using between the teams, and it's really cool to see just kind of these little intricacies that make each team work as well as they do, because there's so many variations that you come across when it comes to Regulation I.
Yeah, a little bit of personality, a little bit of flavor there from each of these trainers and their Pokemon. Not only with those Terra types, not only with the move sets, but it's also with how they are trained. You're not going to expect to see the same Raging Bolt, for example, be trained the same way. They all have their own respective benchmarks that they want to hit, which, creates something that they're a bit more comfortable to. So we could probably see a difference in the way the Raging Bolts and the Incineroars are trained, as they're both on each trainer's team here.
Yeah, I think we've seen 4 Raging Bolts so far, and we've seen 4 different sets on them all. We've had multiple Terra Electric, but like we've had different ones have Electro Web. This one will have Dragon Pulse. This one has Snarl. Like this one was Life Orb. X was Assault Vest. Like there's so many different variations that we've seen. These are my favorite sort of formats. I've always loved double restricted formats. I think it gives people something really cool to build around. I think it's easier for people who generally maybe aren't as powerful to build or skilled when it comes to building. Gives them something to focus their team around and really kind of assist in letting the rest of the team flow. And it's really cool. And there's so many options. I know I said it before, but having these little intricacies that between similar teams, these slight differences that help into X matchup or help against this Pokemon specifically, it's so cool to see.
Yeah, still very new and very fresh as well. We don't get the official tournaments out for this format till the start of next month. But this is a good way just to showcase some of the ideas that the online community has happening. And we're going to get straight into that game one now. We see the Raging Bolt and Incineroar led on... I believe it's... Oh, they both have that. Well, we know that the Fluttermane is on Oliver's end, so Oliver will have the Fluttermane and the Incineroar lead, and Jack is the one with the Incineroar and the Raging Bolt.
Yeah, so both players here leading their Incineroar, pretty even match into each one, but then we've got the Raging Bolt and the Fluttermane. Fluttermane threatening some really big Moonblast or really big damage onto the Raging Bolt whilst being immune to that Fake Out. But it is still fragile. If something like a knockoff or a Flare Blitz comes into that slot, it will be taking a lot of damage, and I think it's pretty pivotal to try to keep around against the Calyrex Shadow for a potential late game, as it is the main form of speed control in this matchup, and we do see that Fluttermane switching out.
Yeah, good switch initiative here from Oliver here, getting the Terrapagos in on the field now. So getting its Terra Shell up and activated there. We'll see are there any fake outs coming out here. No, we also see a Raging Bolt switch in. So maybe some of the mindset. In comes the Zamazenta. So Zamazenta's looking relatively nice in this position, I would say.
Yeah, so both players recognizing, I don't really want my Pokemon to be specific Pokemon to be taking big damage or to be in a situation where they could lose their items, lose their capabilities for late game, because they're both such good pivotal late games for each other in this matchup. That Zamazenta absolutely happily taking that knockoff. Knockoff obviously not getting rid of the Dauntless Shield. And the Incineroar on Jack's side, parting shot, hitting a parting shot into, I believe it was into the Terrapagos.
Yes, it was into the Terrapagos, which was formerly a Fluttermane. In comes Shen Pao. So the body presses are now going to hit even harder with the Sword of Ruin buff.
Yeah, so Sword of Ruin dropping that defense stat for everything but the Chien Pao. Interesting to note with Zamazenta, that doesn't drop the power of body press, but increases the damage to dealt to other things because of that defense drop on the opposing Pokemon.
Yeah.
Really kind of intricate things to know with this. It's good to know when you're running Chien-Pao the way it works with all abilities and all Pokemon, and this is just one of those ones that's kind of a bit different to how most other things work.
Yeah, rather unique interaction between a specific move based off a defensive stat rather than an offensive stat. So we see the hard switch out from the Incineroar here, going into that Flutter Mane, as the Terapagos goes for Protect, just wants to gauge what wants to be done here from the opposing side. There's a crash. Flutter Mane's going straight to its Sash. And
yeah, really good play from Jack there. So Oliver recognizing this is very likely to be a body press coming into my Incineroar here. I'm going to switch in the Ghost type. Jack covering for that switch, going for that Icicle Crash, and catching the Flutter Mane on the switch in, bringing it down to Satch, which is a huge turn for Jack.
Yeah, Jack also did double that slot with the body press there because the Flutter Mane is immune to the attack. So looking to cover both of those options there. It also covers the potential Koraidon that could be lurking in the back as well with that Icicle Crash. So yeah, good board assessment on Jack's end to make that play.
Yeah, so this Terapagos sitting in a bit of a rough spot at the moment. It's not really wanting to take a double up from these two Pokemon, but the Flutter Mane is there. Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Chien-Pao doesn't want to risk any speed ties, any interaction from that Flutter Mane. Goes straight for the Sucker Punch, taking that 1 HP and knocking it out, while the Zamazenta breaking that shield on the Terapagos. Doing a good amount of damage as the Terapagos returning the favor, breaking and bringing down the Chien-Pao to its Focus Sash.
So Chien-Pao down to that Sash now. Still hanging out for another turn or two. Even still, we just saw that. That was a not very effective body press hit. That still felt like it did way too much. That's just the power of Zamazenta's defense paired with that sort of ruin ability.
Absolutely. For a resisted hit, there is a reason that Zamazenta is so well used. But Oliver does have the option of switching in here. He's got a couple of good options. We haven't seen the Koraidon come out yet, but now we get to. With the Koraidon comes the Sun. Koraidon really good offensively into both of these Pokemon. With that potential Terra Fire that it has access to, it can remove its weakness to the Ice type moves and deal huge damage to the Chien-Pao and the Zamazenta. That Chien-Pao, while the Zamazenta's body press isn't affected, the Zamazenta itself is, and the collision course or potential flare blitz that could come out onto that Zamazenta will be Chien-Pao boosted.
Yeah, it's an interesting position for Oliver to be in right now because he's got to look at terrestrializing. The Koraidon terrestrialization looks like it might be the way to go, but it also means you don't get to terrestrialize the Terapagos, so you don't get the terrestrialized form of Terapagos in this matchup, which adds a lot more bulk and just a lot more offense to it as well. We do see the switch into Incineroar in favor of the Chien-Pao, dropping Koraidon's attack a little bit, making it less as much of a wall breaker as it is. And I believe we're going to see Terra from the Zamazenta, and I do believe Oliver's locked in a Terra as well.
Yeah, so interesting speed interaction here. We don't often see this, but the Zamazenta on Jack's side is faster than the Koraidon, or potentially faster. We don't know how these are trained. They could be the same speed, which as an interaction means that this could have gone to either. But fast Zamazenta or potentially a very slow Koraidon is just a bit uncommon. Big body press coming into the Koraidon and a dodge on the scale shot for the Incineroar.
Yeah, it's a very rough miss there, knowing that Zamazenta is still just going to remain the fastest thing on the field right now. It sort of has its picking of which Pokemon does he want to body press, because we've seen Incineroar as the last for Oliver. Nothing wants to take a body press in this position anymore.
So... Yeah, Zamazenta really nicely positioned here. That scale shot, really unfortunate miss, as it would have, while it drops the defense of the Caradon, it would have boosted the speed, guaranteeing it to be faster than the Zamazenta and the Calyrex Shadow that potentially lurks in the back as well.
Yeah, and it'll be able to throw off those scale shots onto that Zamazenta as well, because it is a dragon type. It did burn its terrestrialization for that. So hitting multi-hits on that gives it just multiple more chances to potentially score a critical hit, and that'll deal some pretty devastating damage, offsetting that Intimidate drop on the Caradon alongside the defense boost from the Zamazenta.
But yeah, so really nice protect here.
Yeah, it looks like Oliver's got that turn right. He's got the Roth coming out here.
So really interesting play there from Jack, either calling the protect or maybe even just calling the Incineroar to come in. Doesn't want Oliver to get fake out pressure. That Raw, Caradon switches out. He's coming straight back in. Jack will not let that stay.
Yeah, so avoiding fake out pressure there, very good call from Jack's end. And he's pretty nice to just keep firing off potential body presses as well. We'll see if Oliver has the ability to adjust after that, after the Raw disruption play.
Yeah, so getting rid of the fake out pressure is really big because it means that the pressure doesn't make Jack kind of take a turn to step back a little bit. He can just keep on the pressure that Zamazenta has onto everything. This Caradon's come back in with no attack drops. It's no longer intimidated, but it might just be going down to a body press.
Yeah, it's the body press damage on this poke, on Zamazenta, it's just absolutely wild. It's so incredibly strong. Being able to almost 2-hit KO a lot of the metagame that isn't resisting its attacks. Pardon me.
So the Caradon protecting here, wanting to not go down to a body press, but the body press going into the Incineroar, but Incineroar managing to take that, not having a chi and power on the field, which likely would have let that pick up. This Incineroar must be trained to be able to take that hit. It's very physically defensive. Zamazenta taking that recoil, but it means that the Caradon is safe to go for a scale shot into that left slot while faking out the Zamazenta and trying to get that speed boost that it tried to get earlier, but unfortunately missed.
Yeah, I got that. Still, very rough miss there. And looking like it could potentially be a fake out. And what? So the Zamazenta does protect there. So that's protecting it from like the fake out scale shot. Do we see it come through?
But no fake out here. And another miss on the scale shot. Oh, that is absolutely devastating for Oliver. The parting shot comes out from Oliver. A really good call, knowing that his opponent likely wants to protect in front of a potential fake out scale shot into the Zamazenta. Doesn't go for the fake out, parting shots into the Incineroar, but misses another crucial scale shot to miss the speed boost.
Yeah, absolutely devastating there. The Caradon is now back at -1 attack with the parting shot there. Incineroar is getting out of that. And we're going to have a look to see what Jack wants to bring in here in exchange for that Incineroar. And it looks like it's going to be the Shen Pao on that single hit point.
Yeah, so that Shen Pao, a lot of them are running max, trained to be as fast as possible, max speed if they can. That focus sash allowing them to still hit hard and fast while taking at least one hit. This is a really tough position for Oliver now. He'd worked so hard to get himself into that really nice spot where he positioned the fake out, was able to get off a scale shot. But that miss, that accuracy on that scale shot, just letting him down in this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, missing once was unfortunate. Missing twice is absolutely devastating. So he's got an absolute mountain to climb to crawl his way back into it. Who knows what'll happen? He might not be completely down and out yet. Terrapagos will be able to protect and at least get its Terra Shell back in one piece to allow it to take another body press.
So Jack going for the crunch. The crunch goes into that protect. And the body press going into the Koraidon, and down goes the Koraidon. It unfortunately, I don't think was able to land a hit while it was on the field.
I don't believe so. Yeah, I think it only was able to throw out protects and scale shots, which didn't end too much in favor for Oliver.
Yeah, so scale shot, unfortunately, one of those moves. It's multi-hit, which is great. It boosts your speed, which is also so good, and it's a nice stab dragon move. That accuracy, there has to be a drawback somewhere for a move like that, and unfortunately, the drawback really came into heavy effect here. Oliver played really well to kind of position himself around it, make sure that he got into a position where he could take advantage of that scale shot, but it just didn't get there, unfortunately.
Yeah, it wasn't able to get it this time. We do know, seeing this, that the Pokemon lurking in back was that Raging Bolt that we saw turn 1. We saw switched out, and he's just been sitting in the back, just waiting for an opportunity to come back in.
Yeah, so even with all that's happened, the Chin Power happy to let itself go down to a fake out here. There was still that Raging Bolt in the back, which would have liked the sun that Koraidon brought with it, but won't be coming in at a point where it can take advantage of it. Body press, once again, coming out and breaking that Terra Shell on the Terrapagos. As a Terra Starstorm comes out, doing good damage to the Zamazenta.
Yeah, nice little chunk there. Every little bit of damage onto that Zamazenta will definitely help and add up. We will look like we might see the Incineroar come back in. And no, it's the Raging Bolt. So the Raging Bolt looking like it can threaten Incineroar with something like Thunderclaps or just faster moves into it. The Your time on Oliver's end is ticking into the last minute now. He's had to make some very tough and difficult calls, which does take time. So hopefully he does have his eye on that throughout the game, and it looks like he is going to concede it. He did very well to claw back as much as he did. 2 scale shot misses, very, very, very devastating.
Yeah, we saw it in the last set. Freeze, those secondary effects, those little bits of things that can happen during those games. Just they come into effect. They impact the game heavily. The freeze last set, this set, it was scale shot misses, unfortunately. The speed boost on Koraidon could very much sway the game there. It may not, it may, but it's something that gives Oliver a bit of a better position to be able to work his way back and around the game. But that Zamazenta was running rampant that game. There was never really a situation where Oliver was able to get a clean hit into it, and because of that, it just stuck around. It threw body presses into just about everything.
Yeah, Jack was able to get the Zamazenta just positioned well, be able to make plays to force like the key example would be catching that Flutter Mane switch in, covering that option with the body press and the Icicle Crash, basically making Flutter Mane completely, or just basically just came in, hit the sash, and then knocked out with the Sucker Punch. So yeah. Jack definitely played a lot of his turns very, very well in that game 1, which is what we do like to see. And we saw how Oliver was almost able to claw his way back into that game 1 with some very good protect calls onto those body presses. Scale shot just said not today. So hopefully that changes in this game too, with some potential adjustments that could be made from Oliver's end and potentially from Jack's end as well as we look to get into it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see if and what any adjustments come out from Oliver there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raging Bolt perhaps make a showing. It does very good neutral damage whilst doing just good damage in general to most things on Jack's side of the board, and can also help threaten the Zamazenta once it's terrored.
Yep, so it looks like same leads here from Jack. Oliver has elected to lead the Raging Bolt, as you made note of the potential adaptation of adding Raging Bolt onto the lineup. So
Yeah, so both running Assault Vest Raging Bolt. So Oliver not able to protect his Raging Bolt in front of the potential fake out, but that Flutter Mane again in a really good spot against the opposing Raging Bolt. It was in this position last time and went for that defensive switch, keeping it safe for later, but unfortunately it wasn't safe on the switch in. It'll be interesting to see here because that Moonblast is still threatening some really big damage. What they could go for here.
yeah, so we'll look to see that. We're thinking the fake out on the Raging Bolt is something that we could definitely see come out there, just because there's no way to protect against it. And that's what's happened there. That is a big Moonblast onto that Raging Bolt there, dealing 50% through Assault Vest. And we see the Electro Wave come out, so with a critical hit on the Flutter Mane. Jack looking to eye off potential speed advantage going into this game 2 here with that Electro Wave play on that turn 1.
Yeah, so a good amount of chip dealt there, dropping the speed on both of these Pokemon. Flutter Mane still quite likely to be the fastest thing on the field, but the dropping the Raging Bolt, which means that Jax is now quite likely to be the faster Raging Bolt of the two, depending on how they are trained. The Moonblast, dealing just over 50% to that Raging Bolt, means that it is in range of another one if it does not switch or Terra. But the Incin is also kind of just sitting there. It hasn't taken any damage. It's gotten its fake out off. It's got the option to pivot. It can knock off. Like, it has these options to deal damage. But yeah, we see the Incin coming from Oliver's side now. Kind of just letting that the Flutter's taking damage. The Flutter's dropped its speed. I want to keep it around. It can do work if it stays on stays kind of active. So switching out and saving that for later while we see a Terra Electric on Jack's Raging Bolt.
Yeah, we do see that to protect itself from that Moonblast.
Oh,
Draco Meteor so close to picking up just the sheer bulk on the Raging Bolt there. The knockoff, not going for the double in, looking to pick up damage onto that Flutter Mane, getting rid of the Incineroar Rocking Helmet, and we do see that Volt Switch coming out from the Raging Bolt.
With another critical hit.
Yeah, bit of foul play happening in this game too. But
so that's a huge live there.
And we see the Koraidon into the field now. Going to set up that Sun. Raging Bolt is going to get that Protosynthesis boost. A defense boost because of the Draco Meteor drops.
Yeah, really interesting how these Protosynthesis boosts work depending on the board position. But like that live 8%, 8%, 8 HP from that big Draco hit coming out, living to get off the critical hit Volt Switch in return. Means that later on in the game, there is going to be Thunderclap opportunities. There is going to be another Pokemon that has to be taken down, has to be gone through for Jack to try to fight through this game. So while he may have been expecting to get that KO there, because he did not opt to double into it to get that knockout, it might just throw a spanner in the works for Jack. But this Koraidon coming out free and clear, it's got huge damage potential, and the Raging Bolt is looking pretty low.
Yeah, Raging Bolt not looking the healthiest. The fake out coming out onto the Zamazenta. We've hit a scale shot, ladies and gentlemen. That's what
so the scale shot comes out. We've got the loaded die, so it's guaranteed to hit at least 4 times. It's going to be close. 4 hits, 5 hits, and it manages to take out the Raging Bolt.
Yeah, 5th crit. The 5th hit was also a crit. One of those crits that you sort of just wish it would be on another move because you knew that was picking up. But Koraidon
Oliver is happy just to be hitting this one and getting that really important speed boost on the Koraidon. It's there now. The Incineroar can come back in, get down and intimidate. But the big thing that Oliver was vying for all that last game is to get that all-important speed boost on the Koraidon. And now he's got it. He can outpace things like the Chien-Pao, the Zamazenta. If there is a Calyrex, which we didn't see last game, he can catch that as well.
Yeah, still could potentially be in the wings as well for Jack. We have fake out pressure on live on Jack's end, so Just have Oliver. Just gotta make sure that he's got eyes on that. Zamazenta still looking pretty threatening. Like a body press into a -1 Koraidon's gonna do a lot. Body press into Incineroar is also just going to do a lot, especially with a sort of ruin buff on from the Shen Power, which is hit the field now.
It sure will, but we do also know that Oliver's Incineroar in the sun does carry the Flare Blitz. If that, because that Terra Dragon is no longer accessible for the Zamazenta, even with the defense boost, Sun boosted Flare Blitz will be doing a good amount of damage, and with that defensive Terra, the Incin is living a lot more nicely than it did last time, but not opting for the Flare Blitz, going for instead the pivot attack, going for the parting shot, getting out of there, and with the Sun out, bringing in one of 2 Protosynthesis Mons, and it looks like it's the Fluttermane.
Yeah, the Fluttermane is the call there. Fluttermane looking to potentially get a speed buff there. This could look to force Shen Pao into look at sucker punching the Fluttermane to see if it gets a knockout there in that regard. Fluttermane just probably looking. Fluttermane is looking to offer a lot of damage pressure onto the Zamazenta. Moonblast still hitting neutrally, but it's a Fluttermane, so it'll still hit quite hard. The Koraidon is eyeing off big hits as well, whether it's the Flare Blitz or the Collision Course. We will see, because there is no terrestrialization option that was used on the Raging Bolt.
Yeah, so a lot of damage being threatened this turn from both sides, potential knockouts being threatened, but there's the Qian Power switching out, so no Sucker Punch going to be coming out here. Jack instead opting to get another Intimidate down on this Koraidon, which is threatening such big damage onto all 3 of these Pokemon now. All 3 Pokemon left on Jack's side, much like Oliver's last game, don't particularly want to be taking fighting type moves, but between all the attack drops that have stacked up, that Zamazenta takes it so well, but the burn. Wow, that is going to massively drop the output of that Zamazenta. Even with the defense drops on the Koraidon now, it is quite likely to be able to take a hit or 2.
I do also believe that the clock hit 0 when the Fluttermane hit Protect, so that Flare Blitz I do believe was a timeout, so Oliver absolutely blessed with a little bit of fortune after that game 1, getting that burn on the Zamazenta, which would just help mitigate that body press damage, because the burn's one of the few ways that you can weaken the power of that body press, just due to it coming off that defense stat.
Yeah, so this Fluttermane, again, in a position where it can and does hit a Moonblast. There was no option of fake out onto the Fluttermane. Jack opting not to go for it onto the Koraidon either. And a Collision Course coming out this turn instead of that Flare Blitz. Collision Course does so much damage, and so much more damage when it's super effective. Body Press coming out, and with that burn, not even taking the Koraidon to 50% health.
Yeah,
this Zamazenta, so sad with that burn.
Yeah, it's a -1 Koraidon as well because of the Scale Shot defense debuff. It's just crazy just how clutch that burn was for Oliver going into this game too.
Yeah, like we've talked about it all day. These secondary effects have such big impacts. They're not necessarily guaranteed to happen, but when they do, they definitely put a big splash in things. Fluttermane, once again, not really wanting to get hit by this Qian Power Sucker Punch, switching out in favor of that Raging Bolt. The Raging Bolt, of course, only at 8 HP, still very low at the moment. And the Koraidon protecting, so pretty safe, pretty defensive turn there from Oliver.
Yeah, so we see that there. Raging Bolt probably looking like it's happy to be sent out to take the KO to allow Incineroar to come back in and threaten Fake Out. Zamazenta basically on its last legs. Burn will look to take it out in the following coming turn. just due to the burn damage that gets done between turns. It doesn't look like it's on the healthiest set of legs.
Incineroar.
Yeah.
Take it away. Take it away.
Incineroar in, just Intimidate, throwing off, offsetting that attack. Not enough to save Raging Bolt on 8 HP, though, unfortunately. So the Raging Bolt does go down, and I do believe this looks like it'll be a body press. Maybe Incineroar lives it? Incineroar lives it.
With the burn, even the Incineroar able to hold on after taking so much damage from that previous body press. And that last burn tick will take down the Zamazenta, leaving it as Chin Pao against three Pokemon, all having super effective pressure, and that it really does not want to be up against.
Yeah, one bit of fortune that Shen Pao does have. It still has its sash intact, but is that enough? There's Fake Out being pressured here, so the Shen Pao may look to go for a potential protect to look at keeping its sash intact while looking to throw out other moves. It is at -1 because of the Intimidate. Yeah, we do see the protect there, so...
Shen Pao, not wanting to take that Fake Out, not wanting to have that sash broken, although, let's be honest, if it didn't protect, it was probably going to get knocked out. So Jack playing to his outs here. The sash being intact is so important. Oliver choosing to stay in, go for that Fake Out, not making any chances, not perhaps trying to call the protect and try to get another Intimidate out, but just playing it safe and going for the plays that he needs to win.
Yeah, Oliver making a good play here, just going for the knockoff here.
The Ice Cool Crash coming out, KOing the Koraidon even through the -1.
Yep, so the knockoff here is good. You get rid of the sash. The Sun's still up for another turn, so even if the Flutter Mane does get taken down this turn to like a Sucker Punch, the Flare Blitz should pick up a win for Oliver in a 0-0 win due to the recoil that will come out. So
yeah, so Oliver playing that really well, not wanting to risk anything like a Sucker Punch, potentially KOing the Flutter Mane or a critical hit or any of that unfortunate stuff. He goes for the knockoff, knows it's not going to do enough damage, but breaking the Focus Sash is that all-important thing that he had to do last turn. Sucker Punch does come out. It does KO the Flutter Mane, bringing us to a 1v1. And here's the Flare Blitz going into that Chien Pao.
Yeah, the Sun
more than enough to take it out.
Definitely enough to pick it up. The Shen Pao goes down. The recoil does pick up the Incineroar as well. But due to Incineroar being the last Pokemon fainted on the field, that still grants Oliver the win. It's a 0-0 win. Not something super common that you see, so there you go. We will be heading into a game 3.
We sure will. So we saw the adjustment there of the Raging Bolt come out on Oliver's side. It came so close to going down very early from that Draco Meteor from the opposing Raging Bolt. But the damage stacking up from Oliver's side, Oliver got the Volt Switch off. Oliver got the Moonblast off, bringing everything low. The Incineroar took so much damage early. The Raging Bolt took so much damage early. He was doing really well at kind of just getting that damage out, keeping up the pressure, where he didn't really have a position game 1 to keep up offensive pressure. And it was good to see that happen there. The burn onto the Zamazenta pretty much shut down all of its offensive output.
Yeah, absolutely there. So we'll see if... Yeah, it'll be interesting to see adjustments going into the game 3. Jack basically still rocking that same 4 from game 1. Still feel like without that burn, definitely still feels very strong into what Oliver's game plans that he has been using. But for Oliver, we'll see if there's an adjustment made or if there's like a lead order change that looks to get made as well.
It's also very interesting to note, we have not seen the Calyrex Shadow come out once from Jack yet. And the Terapagos was then left behind that last game too as well. So we've seen a lot today of how these dual restricted formats still heavily have games, matchups, where you only want to bring one of your restricted Pokemon in favor for some better support from the rest of your team.
Yeah, we are seeing that, which is good to bring to light because a lot of people going into for a lot of people, it's their first double restricted format thinking. We'll have to bring our double restricteds to every game. This is a good way of showing not always the case. As we see the Zamazenta and Incineroar lead coming out from Jack, and the Fluttermane and Incineroar from Oliver here.
Yeah, back to our game 1 leads with a bit of a reverse order. We don't have the Incineroars in front of each other this time. But yeah, so there's that Intimidate down on both Pokemon. The Zamazenta, Heavy Slams won't be hitting as hard. Body Press, as hard as ever. The Fluttermane is still able to threaten some Moonblast, able to threaten some Icy Winds, perhaps get some speed control on the other end so that Koraidon doesn't necessarily have to start going for those scale shots. But again, the Flutter is very threatened here.
Yeah, Flutter's threatened by Heavy Slam. I believe the other one, it's just knock off, but that'll still deal quite a sizable chunk. Getting rid of the Focus Sash.
We saw how important last game getting rid of Focus Sash on either team was. The Chien-Pao and the Fluttermane really need that Sash to allow them to do what they want to do. We've seen there's the Protect coming out from Jack's Zamazenta. The Fake Out going into that, so a very good call there from Jack. Fluttermane going for the Moonblast like last game, trying to get some early damage onto this Incineroar. And it's just a parting shot coming out onto Fluttermane. So Fluttermane keeping its Focus Sash intact, but not going to be able to hit quite as hard next turn as the Incineroar pivots out.
Yeah, so Zamazenta just wanting to just remain as healthy as possible, just not be threatened by any sort of attacks. And in comes what looks to be Zamazenta's best mate in Chien-Pao, coming in to weaken the defenses again of these two, of Oliver's duo of Incineroar and Fluttermane on the field there. Chien-Pao in without an Intimidate, so it's going to be threatening just big damage naturally.
Yeah, Chien-Pao really, really putting in work throughout this whole matchup. Not necessarily by clicking any moves itself, but just by existing. That defense drop so good for the Zamazenta. But these Sucker Punches have really been coming in handy. Icicle Crashes have been taking KOs, dropping things to Sass. Sucker Punch have been cleaning things up at the end. Chien-Pao really showing why it shines, but next to the Zamazenta.
Yeah, we see a crash on Incineroar. This could be another case of the crash and body press double up here. Chien-Pao that Icy Wind is not the greatest. It gets to keep its Sash, which is good for Jack. Not good for Oliver. And the Incineroar, yeah, just with that double in, taking down the Incineroar there.
Yeah, Jack going for that safe double up of, look, you can switch, you can Terror defensively. I will be taking out either this Incineroar or whatever comes in for it. Oliver, from the look of it, happy to sacrifice Incineroar in return for the double speed drop on these two Pokemon. But Chien-Pao dodging, the nimble, the quick, it gets around it, dodges the Icy Wind, and keeps his Focus Sash intact. We were saying earlier how crucial it is to have those intact and usable, and this Chien-Pao isn't going to go down easily.
Yeah, Chien-Pao might stick around for a bit. Does the option to throw out Protects for an extra extended stay on the field. The Sash does force the double in or some absolutely insane level scale shot to come out into it. But I don't know. I don't believe that looks like it's going to be Oliver's plan.
Yeah, Oliver still has a bit of speed control here. Good control with the Fluttermane's Icy Wind. It can also go for damage. That -1 from the parting shot, probably not enough to stop it from bringing the Chien-Pao down to Sash. There's the Chair of Fire from this Koraidon. Fluttermane, rather than going for any attacks, opting to protect itself this turn. And so's the Zamazenta.
Yeah, Zamazenta got the exact same idea as the Fluttermane there. The Sucker Punch looking to fail, that went in onto the Fluttermane. The collision course, both swinging into protects. So good Terror Scout. That's a Sun turn burnt as well on Oliver's end. But no Protect on the Zamazenta. The Zamazenta's slowest thing on the field with the Icy Wind drop. So do we see a switch? If the Zamazenta is switched, It does lose its defense boost from Dauntless Shield. But
Instead, we see the switch from the Qian Power.
Yeah, we see the switch from the Shen going to Incineroar, looking to just help offset the Koraidon damage. We could see a terrestrialization from the Zamazenta as well. That was an option that wasn't said, but we see it now, and that's going to be the Dragon terrestrialization. So we'll take the Flare Blitzes and the Collision Courses better, but it won't take the Moonblast better, and that's exactly what Oliver throws out there. But takes it well enough due to the parting shot on the first turn of the game. And yeah, with that collision course.
Oh, and a big live there.
There's a body
and an even bigger crit. Lots of damage being thrown around this turn. Both Zamazenta and Koraidon brought to within a sliver of their HP. The Flutter still sitting there with its sash intact. Can get around the fake out of this Incineroar. So the Zamazenta most definitely in range of just about anything that the Fluttermane throws at it, but this Koraidon really not sitting happy at the moment.
Yeah, not sitting the prettiest. Looking to stay in and just throwing up a Protect just to sort of drink up a focus, a fake out, and look to potentially bait out a move like from the Zamazenta. But we see the Moonblast going into Incineroar. And just the parting shot on the Fluttermane again. So that Fluttermane's now at -2 on both offenses. The attack, not so worried about, but the -2 special attack, it's going to help. It's going to offset that Fluttermane damage output quite a lot.
Yeah, so the Incin pivoting out here, getting that drop on the Flutter. It doesn't really matter so much for the Zamazenta. I believe it's still in range of a Moonblast regardless, with that being super effective. But it definitely helps with this Raging Bolt coming out. No longer will that Moonblast be doing about half. More likely, it will be courted by those Moonblasts. Even though it is super effective, that Assault Vest and those drops putting in massive work.
Yeah,
this Zamazenta very vulnerable.
Yeah, Zami quite vulnerable. Koraidon also quite vulnerable now to that Raging Bolt. It can look to threaten a Thunderclap. Because of its terrestrialization, it doesn't resist it anymore. With the Protosynthesis boost to its special attack as well, definitely looks like something that Jack can do to just threaten the Koraidon off the field. So we see the Raging Bolt come in its exchange. We see the Icy Wind, so no Thunderclap there. The Zamazenta!
The Zamazenta! A huge lift from the Zamazenta there, dropping the speed on both of these Pokemon. Zamazenta able to get that heavy slam into the Fluttermane. Jax, from memory, yes, Jax having Electro Web, the Electro Web coming down, evening out the speed drop from that Icy Wind, and taking out the Flutter on its 1 HP.
Yeah, so now we look like we're left in a position here where we've got weakened Koraidon, afraid of the Electro Web, and the Zami also threatened by the Thunderclap. Sorry.
Both of these trainers really bringing out their all here. That Zamazenta holding on for dear life, doing what it needs to do. That heavy slam, so important to hit into that Fluttermane. And Raging Bolt backing up with an Electro Web. We haven't been able to see the speed interaction without any drops between these two Raging Bolts. So it's going to be very interesting to see which of these is able to move first, as it may be what turns the tide of this game.
Yeah, it definitely does look like that'll be the case here. We don't see a Protect come out here from anything. We see one Thunderclap taking out the Zamazenta.
There's the first Thunderclap. Now we have to see, did that move first? Or did Jack not choose to go for the Thunderclap? But there is the Thunderclap from Jack as well, taking down the Koraidon and bringing this down to a 3v1.
The 3v1 being not the greatest on Oliver's end because it's facing a Raging Bolt of its own, but it's still going up against that sashed Shenpao due to that Icy Wind miss.
And the Incineroar with access to the fake out still. So here is the Qian Pow. that sash intact, that big damage threatened from Ice Drill Crash, or if you just want to go for the guaranteed hits, there is that crunch as well.
Yeah, so the Raging Bolt's being switched out here, looking like it's going to go into the Incineroar. I do believe with the sash intact, there is a fair enough reason to look at going for... there's a Protect there. This switch could also cover a Draco Meteor that gets thrown into the Raging Bolt, which it does. So that'll be a weakened Raging Bolt now. And the Raging Bolt on Jack's end also doesn't have the speed drop anymore, so it will be faster than it. So now it looks like Jack can threaten some big moves into the Raging Bolt on Oliver's end.
Yeah, with that Draco Meteor going into the Incineroar as well, it also means that with the Assault Vest on Jax, it would be likely taking a Draco Meteor much more comfortably, but it doesn't get to that. Qian Pao and Raging Bolt connecting their moves to finish this game out for Jack and bring the set to a 2-1 win.
Yeah, Jack looked like didn't really make any adjustments in terms of Pokemon, but made adjustments on lead. They served him well. Just the sheer bulk on that Zamazenta, taking that initial Moonblast with the Terrestrialization, and also taking on the -2 Icy Wind, still just living on it. It's in red, it's super effective, but it's just still red.
Yeah, it sure is. God, the Zamazenta took, 3-4 moves and still didn't go down. Like, the Jack's team really showcased. We didn't see any recovery on it like we've seen in earlier matches, but the sheer bulk coming out from that Raging Bolt, one of the bulkiest Pokemon that we can get in the format that's not a restricted Pokemon. Zamazenta, the literal shield, absolute tank of a mon that it is. And then Incineroar, the pivot, the helmet. And then Qian Pao, just that Focus Sash. I think this set really showcased how well Focus Sash, how important it is. It's so good, it's so pivotal, and it really turns matchups.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal item on those fast, frail attackers, just to give them a second lease on life, what it feels like. What I reckon we'll do, we'll look to cut away for about for a couple of minutes or so, come back, and we'll have a discussion with our two trainers that we've just showcased on stream. Alrighty, we're back, everyone. We are here with Oliver and Jack. Saw an absolutely phenomenal set between these two. Let us know your thoughts on the set. How do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty back and forth. I mean, we saw a lot of variance, I guess. Even in game 1, there was the 2 scale shot misses, and then game 3, the burn on Zama, and then game 2, the burn on Zama, and then game 3 it was pretty variance free. But it obviously, I think, changed things a bit here and there. I don't know how Oliver feels about that.
Yeah, I mean, the burn on the Zamazenta was quite funny because I was thinking through your thought process, but like the OBS made the stream so like my moves wouldn't be as quick as I would usually do. Yeah. So I'm like, oh no, what do I do? I have to protect Flutterman because I knew you'd heavy slam that slot. And then I'm like, now I'm clicking Flare Blitz instead of Collision Course because it does less damage and also be like, that's a bit bad. Then it burns, so I'm like,
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there's quite a bit of variance there. The 1 HP, I don't know, it was like 3 HP on the Zama. That was a very close.
Yeah,
I think it was like -2, but you went red, and I was like, it probably kills. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I missed, like, I thought that turn before, I thought I parting shotted into the Koraidon, and so when I saw the Protect come out on that turn, I was like, I'm screwed. But then I got the parting shot on the Flutter, and I think that
I only find on the Koraidon also, so that's why I protected.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah.
Then like that next drop at -2 definitely mattered, I think, because otherwise that Ice Wind definitely would have picked up, and it would have been a lot harder for me to come back from that, I think.
We must find a better play for me.
Yeah.
But,
the Fluttermane in general is just like, especially when I have Koraidon or Zama and Calyrex Shadow Rider presents like a pretty big problem, I think, because it's obviously Sash and that means I have to invest a minimum of 2 attacks into it, and you can, body press doesn't do anything into it, and you OCO my CSR. So I just felt like, especially with the Snarl, AV, Bolt, like that I had to leave it both games. Otherwise, you would have just run it over, I think.
Yeah, each game I was like praying you'd bring Karak Shadow. So I'm like, I'm going to force the Terror and bring Bolt, and then you're cooked. But I think you played really well. Realizing that you shouldn't have brought CSR on that matchup was very good, because you Terror Water, and usually you think that's good into Karadan, but I do have a lot of ways to pressure a Terror, and if you Terror Water your CSR, you can't Terror your Zama. So and I also didn't bring Rapagos.
The Zama Terror was very good in that matchup as well, especially with the Incin support, because I mean, I think it's kind of funny, we're both running loaded dice sets on different Pokemon, but without the Clear Amulet, Zama and Incin make Koraidon a lot, like it's a lot harder to deal with Zamazenta than I think.
Yeah. Well, I was getting a bit of, sorry, Henry, before you talk,
you're good,
I was
right?
getting a bit of PTSD from like Perth, because I missed 2 scale shots in top 8 then. But then I also realized like I won that set, so I'm like, oh, maybe we can get the comeback here. I thought I was about to pull it back, but no, you got me in the end. So yeah, good job, game 1.
I think the second scale shot in game 1, I actually wanted you to hit my Incin, because the defense drop meant that if I
true, probably press would do a lot.
I could have brung in Chin Power and then had the sucker punch pressure, I think. But it was bulky, so I don't know.
It was so bulky. I was like running max HP, like 100 defense, which is crazy.
I noticed as soon as the first body press, I'm like, what is this build? Because it was just like an absolute tank.
Yeah, you must have a lot of defense on your Zama, because like I thought it would like not to KO my Koraidon, but it ended up doing so anyway. Yeah.
We've seen you a lot in the past, Jack, use Zamazenta Chin Power. Like, I'm pretty sure you've been on that all of Reg G or most of Reg G.
Yeah, this is like the first format, I think, where I've consistently just gone, because it is so circular, I'm just going to stick with one archetype, and that's going to be my main frame of reference throughout the whole format. And so obviously I got top 8 of Brisbane, and I think partially that was because I just played with this team for the entirety of the format, and I knew the damage rolls and like how the team worked and the matchups a lot better than I usually would have. And so that's kind of helpful to bring into Reg I. But obviously everyone has the same idea using CSR Zama. It's pretty popular at the moment.
Yeah, it's looking to be one of the most common cores that we've seen so far. Oliver, with your core of Koraidon Terrapagos, when it terrors, getting rid of the sun and kind of wanting the terror a lot when it's around, when building the team, how did that come into factor for you?
Well, my Japanese friend, I was talking with him, and he's like, oh, all my mates are using Koraidon Terrapagos. I'm like, why would you do that? It's just, they don't have anti-synergy. That doesn't make any sense. But he's like, no, because when you turn off rain from like opposing taunts and stuff, it's actually really valuable. And you also have like really good switching synergy, because Koraidon usually doesn't want to take like, I don't know, for example, like a play rough from a Zacian or something, right? When you switch in Incineroar, like Terrapagos into that, you get another mode. So you can kind of go from really offensive modes to really defensive modes. And it's a core that can work. Like you saw, I didn't bring Terrapagos in that matchup. And it's a core that works in a way that you don't have to bring up like one or the other restricted, because you have like mons that get boosted by sun, like Fluttermane or Raging Bolt. And when you go just solo Terrapagos, I mean, Terrapagos, when it's just solo, you can get all the Calm Mind boosts just by itself, and then it can sweep the board. The team's pretty good. It's pretty good matchups, I'd say. That one I thought was going to be a pretty good matchup on my end, but I guess the Raging Bolt threw it off completely. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, no, it is a very unique pairing that obviously you made it, like you guys made it work. You did really well pulling it back after that game 1, bringing it to that game 3 and bringing it to such a close set as well. And that was without the Terrapagos as well. Like you said, that was using one mode of the team, of which in different matchups you're going this, you're going that. It gives you those options, which is really good. Is there anything else like kind of about the games that you guys want to comment on at all?
I don't know. I think we've said a almost everything that needs to be said.
Yeah, I think it was
I mean,
like
it was
so many
great
clutch
set.
survivors though.
Yeah,
Or, like,
yeah.
Oh,
everyone.
absolutely, yeah.
Like all
I
my
hope-
mods were leaving everything, and I was just so surprised.
Yeah, I
Well,
hope it was
yeah.
as fun to watch as it was to play, because it was a great set.
It was
it was very
amazing
good.
to watch. It was really, like I said, really well played from both of you. Two really cool teams showcased, and both of you played that so well. But yeah, like the lives, like game 2, we see the Raging Bolt live on 8 HP. Game 3, the Zamazenta goes down to almost nothing. The Koraidon goes down to almost nothing. Then the Zamazenta lives on literally nothing. Like it was so back and forth, and it was so cool to see. So thank you guys very much for such a great match. Like it was really good, really fun. And yeah, we're probably going to go to a short break for now, and then we'll come back with our fourth and final set of the day between Kieran and Lewis.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the match. See ya.